right, just moments ago, Democratic New York mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani confirmed having multiple phone calls with former President Barack Obama. Mamdani says that the two have spoken a number of times since his primary win in June, where the former president offered advice and about the necessity of hope in dark times. David Axelrod, obviously you formerly worked top consultant and longtime aide to President Obama, and the New York Times also reported that you have been to see him, visited with him along with some other folks in President Obama's
I had
orbit.
no idea, honestly, that these conversations had taken place, and it wasn't mentioned.
What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, he's a Democratic nominee in the city of New York, and he has ignited a sense of hope and a sense of enthusiasm, particularly among young people, and change, yes, among young people in that city by focusing on the issue that actually is the issue nationally, but it's accentuated in New York, where prices and costs are very, very high and rents are very, very high, and that is affordability. So I think he's an intriguing guy, and I was happy to sit down with him.
Do you think that there are stylistic similarities between former President Obama and Zohran Mamdani?
Wait, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. No.
No stylistic similarity. Noting the word stylistic, I meant it to do significant work in my sentence, to be clear.
Mamdani was able to tap into that fervor that David Axelrod is talking about, and he did it in such a creative way. I remember the food truck ad that he did where he talked about the price of food versus what it was and talking about costs. However, Barack Obama had a sense of depth, had a swag, had an ability to articulate and connect with people in a way that was pervasive, and you won't see it again. So the answer to that is no. That's first. Second, I do think that it's okay for Democrats to say that New York's not going to have a good mayor, whether or not it's Mamdani, whether or not it's Eric Adams, or whether or not it's Andrew Cuomo. Like, we took voters' intellect in New York for granted. That's why you have a candidate who has an unproven track record to govern as the front runner, and I'm glad he's asking people like Barack Obama for support and help. But you also were running people like Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams, who I wouldn't vote for if they were running against Scott Jennings.
Wow.
Wait, did you say you would vote for me?
I would just write
talk about drive-bys. Let me just say
I'll get you a sticker.
I think Bakari, I mean, and he was involved in the campaign in 2008, so, your memory is just a little bit faulty in that the main principal objection, the main argument that was being made against Barack Obama was that he was young and untested, that he had never run anything, that he was, he didn't have the requisite experience to do. And you know what people said? They said, the same old isn't what we want. We don't want to go back to what has failed us on issues like affordability. He spoke to that, and he spoke to it in not just a creative way, but in a hopeful way. There are things that we can do. Now, I don't necessarily agree with all of his solutions, but I think he's raising the right questions, and I think it wasn't an accident that he won.
I actually feel like this is an instance, the two of you have tangled a couple times on this show, but if I listen to you, and you haven't spoken on this yet, but I've heard you talk before about it, neither one of you seems to think that Zohran Mamdani would be good for the country.
I don't really care about Zohran Mamdani for the country. I just don't think he'll be a good mayor for New York. And I also think that
maybe I should say for the Democratic Party.
And I think that people in New York and Democrats in New York have this false sense of self. They think that the mayor of New York all of a sudden is going to be the trailblazer for the Democratic Party going forward, and that's just not the case.
I don't think it's people outside.
It's a national figure. Think of how many mayors of New York City have credibly run for president of the United States. We can't deny the importance of New York.
How many have won?
How many have won?
They are national figures.
Sorry.
Run down the list of people.
I mean, Bill de Blasio ran.
All right.
You can't tell me that Rudy Giuliani's not a national
We got
figure.
a hard out.
I do think the rich white liberals who got Mamdani the nomination are indicative of where the Democratic Party is moving, trying to move it towards this more socialist bent. I know this because they've done the same thing in Minneapolis, they've done the same thing in Seattle, and I think for 28 could be a problem.
All right, here's my heart out sign. We'll be right back.